There is a common toxic lie that really nice people believe. The more you give, the more you can make someone love you. This line of thinking backfires and sets you up to feel disrespected, foolish, and you will continue to attract people who are never going to commit. Hello, friends. My name is Maria, and for almost 20 years, I had no idea that giving too much was the very reason I was never getting enough of what I wanted. And if you can relate, I've got good news. Today, that cycle ends. I'm going to show you 3 ways you can do less to finally get more of what you actually want: respect, reciprocation, and feeling powerful in your relationships. Now, let's start with the problem that most likely brought you to this channel: doing too much for your ex after they ditch you. A lot of us here have an issue where when we get dumped, this is when we go into panic mode and we begin to give even more to our ex in the form of attention, gifts, invitations, and I'm sure everyone in the comments will admit that this act of giving more to someone who has discarded you, it makes you feel like less of a human being who is worthy of love. And what's interesting is this problem all started before you ever met your ex. And the solution involves practicing doing less for everyone in your life across the board. Let me explain. Our reputations precede us. So if you are someone who's known for people pleasing, or never being able to say no to anyone, or you're always bending over backwards to try to make your partners happy by abandoning yourself, people stop perceiving ditching you as much of a risk. They weigh out the consequences and think, well, I kind of want to go see if there's anything better out there. Let me dump them to go see if the grass is greener, and if not, I know they'll take me back. Hey, it doesn't matter if I go sleep with someone else. I'll tell them a sob story about how I'm so confused right now, and they'll keep paying my bills. This kind of stuff happens all the time. And it's why it's important to start laying down your boundaries in the very beginning. Not necessarily with your words, but with your actions. Don't show up as someone who has all the time in the world to always give more or put others before you, or even worse, complain that you don't have time and then say yes anyway. You will get burned out and underappreciated, and despite giving so much, you will not get more respect in return. You will only gain more respect when you stop. And even though you may have an anxious thought that your ex will think you're a jerk if they ask you for something and you deny them what they want, but after time passes, they will understand why you had to stop giving so much. They basically forced you to. They broke up with you. They put themselves in a different category in your life, and a healthy person will understand that boundary. And if your ex truly cannot understand that, then they are a bona fide taker who would have unapologetically devoured everything they could get from you until they started dating someone else, claiming that you are crazy when you voice to them that now you feel shortchanged. Because continuing to give so much to someone who has dumped you over time will have you feeling disrespected and shortchanged. That's just how it goes. Now we've established that your ex has stopped earning all of your beautiful generosity the day they decided you weren't worth sticking around for. But it is true that the overgiving starts from the very beginning. And if you don't learn how to identify people who are worth your energy, you will continuously wind up in situations where you are giving too much of what I call stupid coffee. Let's talk about the stupid coffee situation. Now, I have learned that some of us on this channel, our love language is food. And back when I would begin to date someone, I was so excited to cook for them or bring them food or coffee while they were at work. But the thing is I would start doing this immediately in the relationship. And not only would I bring them things while they were at work, but I would brush aside maybe priorities that I could have been taken care of that day. And it didn't matter where they were or how far I had to drive out of my way. I would always call them up, and see where they were going to be around lunchtime. And then I would go spend my money and I would buy both of us a coffee, and then I would climb up into their truck and sit with them, and we would have coffee together every single day. And then when they eventually ended up dumping me, this would be one of those things I had felt like, gosh, I did so much for this person, and they just ended up ditching me. How could he do this to me? Things were going so well. We were having coffee together every single day. But we weren't having coffee together every single day. I was bringing these guys coffee every single day, rain or shine. No matter what was going on in the relationship, I always put what I thought they needed or what they wanted first. And yeah, they were enjoying it. But did it ever stop them from ditching me as soon as they thought they found a woman who was better? No! A lot of times we look back and we think about all of the energy we put into a relationship, realizing afterwards that this person wasn't worth it at all. And that's why when I look back, I'm like, oh, all that stupid coffee, because I was putting people that I really didn't even know that well in front of my day, my priorities, my missions and goals that I probably should have been focusing on. And yeah, I was a mess, but you know what? Those guys were also... It turns out they were a mess too. And I wish that people would take the time to figure out if the other person is a mess before they bring them all of the stupid coffee. And this isn't about punishing people by withholding loving actions, but I would like to make a clear distinction. Buying a woman a coffee on a first date is not overgiving. Bringing someone food while they're working is not overgiving. If your good friend calls and asks you for help, by all means, try to give them what they're asking for. If your partner is going through a tough time, pull out all the stops to see them through it. The giving in itself is not the problem, but you gotta stop giving so much stupid coffee. Make doing small things like this a special treat. Don't let them begin to think of your limited energy as something they're entitled to and your lovely gestures as an automatic expectation. When you begin to practice giving a little less in the beginning, there's less of a chance they will take your time and your presence and your attention for granted. They know that it's valuable. You treat it like it's valuable. You don't give off an energy like you are trying hard to make this relationship work because it has to work, because people feel that energy and they start to wonder, well, why? What's their rush? Don't they have options? Well, damn straight you do. That's the attractive energy. That energy that your attention isn't given to just anybody, which ties back to the first point of doing less for everybody. The people you date will learn really quickly that if they want you in their life, they're gonna have to be respectful and invest in the relationship as well, because otherwise you're automatically going to make them less important. You're not going to try hard. And I'm not saying that in judgment. I was the queen of try hard. And when we can't get the validation from the exact people who were never going to give it to us in the first place, we take it out on ourselves, blaming ourselves for not being good enough, which brings me to my next point. If you want more out of your relationships, you must practice less self-sabotage. Think about the most toxic people you have ever surrounded yourself with. They loved it when you spiraled into self-sabotage over something they said, because that validation gives them a sense of control. Well, this is actually their weak sense of self-importance. They feel small, so they're going to make you feel smaller. I used to self-sabotage a lot. And that's why in these videos, when I talk about the day I finally sat down, took a hard look at my past relationships and decided to do everything different, I solidified that commitment to myself, and I sort of symbolically did it by painting my nails every single day for about 20 minutes because I had a terrible nail biting habit my entire life. This small action was a big daily reminder that I was no longer willing to just tear myself to shreds, just tear myself down because of the actions of people around me, because we can't control people around us. But before I knew how to draw boundaries with people in my life, I would be doing really good with my health. I'd be on a health roll. And then I would listen to someone make a joke at my expense, or they'd make some mean drive-by comment about my looks. And instead of realizing this was a projection being hurled at me by someone trying to make themselves feel better, I would go home and I would binge on really unhealthy junk food that night. And I'd stop going to the gym for 2 weeks or a month, all because someone who was miserable with themselves made a jab at my looks. Well, welcome to the other half, where we know attraction is not just about looks, because the people that you choose to surround yourself with will have an enormous impact on your life. And since you might not yet be in a place where you have the confidence to draw really hard lines with the people around you, that's okay. You start working on the impact that you are making on yourself. Less self-sabotage. And it's perfect, because you're the only person that you have a semblance of control over. If you say that you want to go for a walk for 15 minutes after dinner, great. Meet yourself there. You don't bail on you. And the more you show up for yourself, the more it does sink in over time, hey, I'm capable of making plans and following through with myself. So other people are also capable of doing that. And then the beautiful shift happens when you do start applying it to other people, I'm capable of answering a text when I'm interested in someone, which means they are capable of the same thing. And maybe the person that you're dating really isn't capable because they don't value the same amount of communication, and that doesn't make them an evil person, but it doesn't make them a great match for you. And in the past, when I was faced with this one-sided situation, instead of giving less of my attention to the other person, I would try to fill in the gaps by doing more self-diminishing, self-sabotaging behaviors like double texting. The urge to double text is strong. You want to be seen. But you'll find that once you begin to make commitments to yourself and follow through, that itch of needing other people to always see you subsides. Because you are being seen. You build trust with yourself, you build a relationship with yourself, and you treat yourself like a friend. Treat yourself like a child you would never intentionally put in harm's way. And then when you're out in the world, you become more okay with putting yourself out there. You are less afraid of getting hurt because even if you take a risk and it doesn't work out, you can always go home. And when you walk through this world with less fear, you will gain more attraction from everyone around you. None of this happens overnight. You are never going to wake up and suddenly have all of the answers. Life will constantly introduce new people and throw you new challenges. And while none of us are perfect, we can still give it our very best effort. If you enjoyed this video, you'll enjoy this one too. My name is Maria Adriana. You did not have to live my life, but I certainly hope you can learn something from it. As always, thank you for visiting The Other Half.